Today, some pickups have so many lights on the dashboard that it feels like you're carrying a Christmas tree, but none of them are good news. By 2026, durable engineering is dead, replaced by complex machines that fail as soon as they leave the dealership. Buying the wrong one will destroy your wallet. Don't move, because in the last 3 spots on the list, we reveal pickups that are true mechanical disasters, disguised as modern technology and luxury. Let's get started. Number 13. Nissan Frontier. The Nissan Frontier has tried to stay relevant by relying on a rugged design and an engine that, on paper, seems solid. However, in 2026, owners are discovering that the veteran nature of its architecture is more of a weakness than a strength. The main problem lies in a 9-speed automatic transmission that never seems to find the right gear, causing constant jerking and premature wear of the internal clutches. Added to this is an infotainment system that feels like technology from a decade ago, with connectivity failures leaving the driver without navigation at the most critical moments. The interior materials, although designed to be durable, age very poorly under intense sun, with plastics that discolor and creak at any road irregularity. Buyers are abandoning the Frontier for more modern options, causing auction resale values to drop to levels that alarm any finance department. It is a truck that feels tired before even leaving the lot. The Nissan Frontier has tried to survive based on supposed classic toughness, but in 2026 its offering simply feels exhausted. The central problem is a 9-speed transmission that never fully mated well with the 6-cylinder engine, presenting harsh shifts and a constant search for gears that prematurely wears internal components. Added to this is a cabin that, although aesthetically refreshed, retains an electronic architecture from 15 years ago. Owners complain about infotainment systems freezing and a total lack of modern assists that competitors now offer as standard. Buying a Frontier today means paying for past technology at future prices, inheriting a vehicle that feels heavy, inefficient, and lacking the mechanical refinement needed to justify its operating costs. Number 12. Chevrolet Colorado and GMC Canyon. General Motors bet everything on a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine for its mid-sized trucks, assuring that it could successfully replace the old 6-cylinders. The reality in 2026 is very different. These pickups are suffering from massive thermal stress due to the turbo's high pressures, resulting in head gasket failures far before 100,000 kilometers. But what really destroyed the reputation of the Colorado and Canyon is their electrical architecture. Owners report screens that stay permanently black, emergency braking systems activating for no apparent reason, and batteries that fully discharge overnight with no explanation. Dealerships are flooded with these units waiting for control modules that never arrive, while customers pay monthly installments for a vehicle they cannot use. The lack of electronic reliability has made these General Motors twins too risky a bet for anyone who needs a daily work tool. General Motors took an unnecessary risk with the Colorado and Canyon duo by removing proven engine options and betting everything on a boosted 4-cylinder that seems to always operate at its thermal limit. In 2026, we are seeing a massive epidemic of electrical failures, from dashboards shutting off completely on the highway to engine management systems throwing phantom error codes. The stress placed on these small engines to move such large masses results in real fuel consumption that exceeds many 8-cylinder trucks without offering the same longevity. It is a platform suffering from excessive wiring complexity, where any trace of moisture can trigger a cascade of failures that dealership mechanics still do not know how to resolve definitively. Number 11. Honda Ridgeline. The Honda Ridgeline has always been the black sheep of the pickup world, and in 2026 that gap has become insurmountable. Although its handling is similar to that of a sport truck thanks to its monocoque chassis, it lacks the structural strength necessary for real heavy-duty work. The problem sinking the Ridgeline this year is its inability to compete in a market that demands real towing capabilities. The all-wheel drive system is excellent in snow, but it suffers from extreme overheating when trying to climb a loaded slope, leaving the driver in protection mode halfway up. Additionally, the bed design, although clever for its hidden compartment, proves impractical for standard work accessories. Resale value has plummeted because the traditional pickup buyer does not consider it a real truck, and family vehicle buyers prefer a closed truck with more seats. It is a vehicle caught between two worlds that it cannot master, gathering dust in the corners of Honda dealerships. The Honda Ridgeline remains the pickup for those who do not really need a pickup, and this identity crisis is destroying its value in 2026. Built on a monocoque platform shared with a family vehicle, It lacks the torsional rigidity needed for real load work or demanding towing without suffering silent deformations at the suspension connection points. Its all-wheel drive system is brilliant in snow, but completely inadequate for mud or rugged terrain where a conventional pickup excels. The resale market has punished this model heavily. Used truck buyers look for work capability, and the Ridgeline is perceived as an expensive recreational vehicle. Those who buy it new quickly discover that its versatility is limited, and they are paying a premium for a bed they cannot fully use without compromising the vehicle's structural integrity. Number 10. Jeep Gladiator. The Jeep Gladiator entered the market with an explosion of enthusiasm, but in 2026, that fire has completely died out due to construction quality issues that are unacceptable for its price range. The biggest headache for owners is persistent water leaks. The removable roof design seems unable to keep the cabin dry after a year of use, causing mold and damage to the floor electronics. Mechanically, the suspension suffers from the infamous death wobble that has plagued Jeep for years, but worsened by the pickup's longer wheelbase. At $55,000 or $60,000 for a well-equipped unit, consumers are realizing they are paying a luxury price for a noisy, uncomfortable driving experience with fuel consumption close to that of a heavy-duty truck. Jeep dealerships have excess Gladiator inventory because the market has decided that adventurous aesthetics do not compensate for the daily shortcomings of a vehicle that feels more like an expensive toy than a reliable tool. The Jeep Gladiator is a style exercise that fails spectacularly in practical execution as a transportation tool. In 2026, water leak issues from the removable roof and door seals remain unresolved, turning the interior into a nest of mold and electrical problems after a couple of years of use. Its excessively long wheelbase compromises suspension geometry, causing the infamous death wobble more frequently than Jeep would like to admit. It is a truck trying to be both an extreme off-roader and a cargo pickup at the same time, failing at both purposes. Its payload capacity is mediocre, and its trail handling is clumsy. With a price competing with much more capable and reliable full-size trucks, the Gladiator remains an aesthetic whim requiring constant maintenance to prevent rust and steering failures from ruining the driving experience. Number 9. Ford Maverick. The Ford Maverick arrived on the market as the miraculous answer for those who needed a small, efficient, and economical truck. However, in 2026, that honeymoon has abruptly ended for thousands of owners now dealing with a frustrating mechanical reality. The most serious problem lies in its hybrid system, a technology that Ford promoted as the crown jewel of efficiency, but has proven to be a puzzle of software errors and hardware failures. Owners report that the truck simply shuts off in traffic or refuses to start in the morning due to failures in the hybrid drivetrain control module. These incidents are not isolated, and worse, dealership technicians often cannot find a definitive solution, merely restarting the system until the failure reappears weeks later. But the disappointment is not limited to under the hood. The Maverick's interior is a lesson in where not to cut corners. The plastics used on the doors and dashboard are so low quality that they scratch from a simple fingernail or backpack. Interior finishes seem to fall apart with daily use. Seat fabrics show excessive wear in less than 2 years, and cabin rattles become unbearable after the first 10,000 kilometers. What was sold as a smart and cheap option has ended up being a disposable vehicle that loses value every day, leaving buyers with long-term debt for a truck that feels old before its time. The Ford Maverick has been a sales success, but in 2026, the reality of its budget construction is taking a toll on early owners. The hybrid system has presented software failures that leave the vehicle completely inoperable in traffic, a situation Ford has tried to fix with updates that do not always address the root problem in the power inverter. But what frustrates users the most is the extremely low quality of the cabin materials. Dashboard and door panel plastics scratch just by looking at them, and after a couple of years of use, creaks and misalignments appear, making the truck feel prematurely aged. It is a low-cost pickup, but the compromises in interior durability and the instability of its hybrid architecture make it a risky long-term bet. Number 8. Ram Quince Mill Entry-Level Edition with Pentastar Engine. The Ram 1500 has always been praised for having the most luxurious interior and the smoothest ride in its segment, but buying the entry-level version equipped with the 6-cylinder Pentastar engine in 2026 is one of the biggest financial mistakes you can make. The fundamental problem is that this engine is completely overmatched by the truck's massive weight. In a world where pickups have grown in size and technology, the old 3-liter 6/10 engine simply does not have the power needed to move this giant with dignity. especially when you try to load something in the bed or tow a small trailer. The result is an engine that is always working at the limit of its capabilities, which destroys any theoretical fuel-saving benefit and accelerates the wear of internal components. On top of this, there is the electronic nightmare that affects the base versions. Ram has historically struggled with its electrical systems, and in 2026 reports of failures in the central data communication system are constant. From dashboard lights that flash for no reason to total failure of driver assistance systems, the electronics in these units seem to have been designed in a hurry. Owners complain that the truck spends more time in the shop waiting for software updates than on the road. At the end of the day, you are paying for the appearance of a luxury truck, but with the heart of a weak vehicle and a nervous system that constantly fails, resulting in an exhausting and costly ownership experience. When you choose the entry-level Ram 1500 equipped with the 6-cylinder Pentastar engine, you end up with a vehicle that falls short for the demands of a pickup of this size. The problem is not only the lack of torque for towing or hauling, but also the fragility of its electrical system and engine management. Number 7. New generation Toyota Tacoma. It is painful to place the Toyota Tacoma in this spot, especially considering that it has been the undisputed queen of reliability for decades. However, the recently launched new generation has had a start that can only be described as disappointing. In its effort to comply with emissions regulations and offer more power, Toyota replaced the legendary 6-cylinder engine with 4-cylinder turbocharged blocks that are showing critical failures in their first units. The turbochargers are failing at an alarming rate, often due to problems in the heat management system that cause the turbines to degrade prematurely. But the real scandal in 2026 is the transmission. The new automatic transmission has shown a tendency to overheat and perform harsh shifts that not only ruin the driving experience, but suggest a lack of long-term durability never seen before in a Tacoma. Many loyal brand buyers feel betrayed to discover that their new $50,000 investment has to spend weeks in the shop, waiting for replacement transmission parts. Additionally, the fit and finish of the cabin in the early production runs have shown irregular gaps and door seals that allow wind noise to enter at highway speeds. Toyota remains a great brand, but this generation Tacoma is suffering the growing pains of engineering that feels rushed. Buying one right now is basically becoming a free tester for the brand, assuming all the risks of a mechanical architecture that has not yet been perfected. Number 6. Chevrolet Silverado/GMC Sierra 15,000. We enter dangerous territory when talking about General Motors half-ton pickups, because for many, the Silverado and Sierra are American institutions that should not be questioned. However, in 2026, ignoring the mechanical disaster happening under their hoods is irresponsible. The central problem destroying the reputation of these pickups is the dynamic fuel management system, or as everyone knows it, cylinder deactivation. In theory, this technology is a marvel of efficiency that allows an 8-cylinder engine to run on only 2 or 4 cylinders when power isn't needed, saving fuel. In practice, however, it is a death sentence for the valve train. The design of the valve lifters responsible for this process is defective. These components tend to seize or fail prematurely, causing push rods to bend and valves to strike the pistons. The result is catastrophic, an engine that internally destroys itself, often before reaching 50,000 kilometers. What is most frustrating for owners is that Chevrolet and GMC have had years to correct this design, but in the 2026 units, reports continue to accumulate. When the system fails, you not only hear a terrifying metallic noise indicating that your engine is dying, but repairs usually involve taking the engine apart completely or replacing it with a new one, with bills easily exceeding $7,000 if you're out of warranty. Additionally, the software managing this cylinder transition often experiences jerks and hesitations, making driving rough and unrefined. You are buying a pickup with an 8-cylinder engine living under the constant threat of becoming a useless pile of metal due to a fuel-saving technology that ultimately costs you far more than you could save at the gas station. Number 5. Ford F-150 Power Boost. The Ford F-150 is the best-selling vehicle in the United States, but its hybrid version, called Power Boost, has become the black sheep of the family in 2026. What was promised as the world's most versatile pickup, capable of functioning as an electrical generator for an entire house and delivering brutal instant torque, has turned into a nightmare of software and technical complexity. The biggest problem here is not just a mechanical component, but Ford's inability to get the combustion engine and electric system to reliably speak the same language. Owners are flooding forums with complaints about the regenerative braking system, which often feels inconsistent and spongy, creating dangerous situations because it's impossible to predict how much pressure is needed to stop the vehicle. But what truly tests users' patience is the endless amount of recalls and critical software updates. Some pickups have had to visit the dealership more than 10 times in a single year to fix issues ranging from total power loss on the highway to infotainment system failures that block vital vehicle functions. The hybrid system is so complex that many independent mechanics refuse to touch it, forcing owners to rely exclusively on official dealerships, which are often overwhelmed and lacking the necessary parts. By choosing a power boost, you are paying a significant premium for a technology that still feels like a trial version. The stress of driving a vehicle that can show a critical error message at any moment and leave you stranded without warning cancels out any advantage in power or efficiency. It is a pickup trying to do too many things at once, and unfortunately in 2026, it fails to do any of them consistently. Number 4. Rivian R1 T. Rivian entered the market with the promise of revolutionizing the world of pickups with an adventurous and 100% electric approach. But in 2026, it is facing the harsh reality of large-scale manufacturing and after-sales support. On paper, the R1T is an incredible machine, with supercar-level acceleration and amazing off-road capabilities. However, the dream of owning a Rivian quickly turns into a nightmare when something goes wrong. The number one problem is the service infrastructure, which is virtually non-existent compared to traditional brands. If you have a mechanical or software issue, you could spend months waiting for an appointment at one of the few service centers available. And in the meantime, you have an $80,000 vehicle sitting in your garage that you cannot use. But what is really scaring the market is the cost and complexity of body repairs. Due to its single-panel design that runs almost the entire length of the truck, even a minor rear-end collision can result in a repair that requires disassembling much of the vehicle, including the battery and interior. We have seen repair bills for minor dents exceeding $30,000, leading insurance companies to declare a total loss for damage that on a Ford or Chevrolet would be a simple few-day fix. Additionally, the durability of the suspension's pneumatic components has proven to be below expectations, with air leaks leaving the truck slanted to one side after a cold night. The Rivian R1T is a technological gem, but in 2026 it represents a massive financial risk. You are not just buying a vehicle, you are entering a service ecosystem that is not yet ready to support its customers, turning any small incident into a logistical and financial odyssey that few are willing to tolerate. Number 3. Nissan Titan. Talking about the Nissan Titan in 2026 is unfortunately like writing an automotive obituary. Nissan has finally decided to retire its full-size pickup from the market, and this has sent shockwaves that are destroying the value of units still on the road or remaining in inventory. The main problem with buying a Titan today is not just mechanical, even though its 8-cylinder engine is thirsty and technologically outdated, but the total uncertainty about long-term support. When a brand discontinues a model with such low sales volume as the Titan, the availability of specific spare parts becomes a real nightmare within months. Owners are already reporting waits of up to 90 days for transmission electronics or interior components that simply do not exist in warehouses. This leads to catastrophic depreciation. A 2026 Titan loses value faster than almost any other vehicle on the road because no one wants to inherit a problem without a clear technical solution. The resale market is a desert. Dealers offer insulting trade-in values because they know having a Titan in inventory is frozen money. You're acquiring a vehicle that, despite being robust in basic construction, lacks an ecosystem to keep it alive. It is the perfect example of how a bad business strategy can ruin a decent product, leaving buyers with a pickup that nobody wants to buy, that is difficult to repair, and that loses thousands of dollars every month it sits in your garage. Number 2. Ram 15000 TRX. The Ram 15000 TRX is an ode to excess, a roaring dinosaur that in 2026 has become an unsustainable proposition for anyone who uses their head as well as their heart. With the end of its production approaching, the TRX has become a coveted object for collectors. But for the everyday driver, it is a financial trap of epic proportions. The 6.2-liter supercharged Hellcat engine is a marvel of performance engineering, but its maintenance costs are prohibitive. We're not just talking about expensive oil changes. We're talking about a Bilstein active suspension system that, if it fails out of warranty, requires shock absorbers costing over $1,500 each, not including specialized labor. But the real hit to your wallet is fuel consumption, which under real-world conditions barely reaches 5 kilometers per liter. In a world where energy costs are volatile, keeping a TRX as a primary vehicle is, for most people, financially irresponsible. Additionally, the parts market for the Hellcat engine is becoming increasingly exclusive and expensive as Stellantis moves away from these large displacement engines. The complexity of its drivetrain and the supercharger's thermal management mean that even a small malfunction translates into weeks of diagnostics and bills that can match the price of a new compact car. The TRX is a show truck, not a work truck, and buying one in 2026 is accepting that you will spend a fortune just to keep it running and functional, while watching the pickup world move toward an efficiency this giant simply ignores. Number 1. Toyota Tundra. We've reached the most painful spot on our list because it represents the fall of an idol once thought invincible. For decades, the Toyota Tundra was the gold standard of reliability, the truck you could buy with your eyes closed, knowing it would last 500,000 kilometers. But the new generation, with its twin-turbo V6 engine, has shattered that reputation spectacularly in 2026. The problem is systemic and catastrophic. Massive failures in the crankshaft bearings cause the engine to seize completely, often with less than 20,000 kilometers of use. Metal debris from the bearings contaminates the entire lubrication system, irreversibly destroying the turbos and the engine block. Toyota has had to launch full engine replacement campaigns, something unprecedented in the brand's history. Seeing a new Tundra with its hood up at a dealership workshop, waiting for a new engine, is an image that has shaken the confidence of even the most loyal buyers. The complexity of these new twin-turbo engines, designed to meet emissions and fuel regulations, has compromised the mechanical robustness that made the brand famous. It is no longer a truck you can repair with basic tools. It is now a computer on wheels with a mechanical heart that seems to have a premature expiration date. The resale value, once the best in the industry, is starting to wobble because the used market fears these engines once the official warranty expires. It's the collapse of a legend, a warning that even the most reputable manufacturers can fail when they sacrifice proven simplicity for rushed technological complexity. Identifying a problematic pickup before it's too late requires a mindset shift. You can no longer rely solely on the logo on the grille. The first step to avoid these traps is to investigate the engine architecture. In 2026, avoid first-generation engines with excessive supercharging or cylinder deactivation systems that haven't been tested for at least 3 years in real-world conditions. History teaches us that design problems usually appear in large numbers between the second and fourth year of production.